So our teammate and his former teammate in Pittsburgh, Ryan Clark, said earlier this week that Antonio Brown has done a good job of fooling people into thinking he's different than the other quote-unquote diva wide receivers. Well, call me fooled, and maybe I'm falling for it again, but listening to that and reading more of what he said, I think this is the last time we see him have an outburst like that on the sidelines.
Look, I know that for a lot of people, seeing him behave that way, that kind of turned him off. And there is this reputation, as you just mentioned, that wide receivers have as being all about themselves. But I think there is a blurred line for them between clearly they can't pass to themselves, and they're also highly competitive. So while I know that outburst was kind of unbecoming in many respects, as I said yesterday when we discussed after the Gatorade incident, where they were just joking about it in the locker room, that I felt like on some level that Ben Roethlisberger, that this was a conversation he should have had with Antonio Brown in private. Look, I get it. He showed out publicly. Ben Roethlisberger had every right to criticize him publicly, and even more so, I know he tweeted an apology, Antonio Brown did, that maybe he felt like he needed to put his face to it. And for that, I think that exhibits a lot of maturity. But I think to some degree, this situation was a little bit overblown.
But it needed to happen. You know, he needed to have this experience to learn from it. Maybe this was something that was boiling. And look, it's a Friday. I don't know how it works with the local media in Pittsburgh, but he didn't have to face that music again today.
No, he didn't.
He said, let's move on.
That tweet could have just stood on its own.
That was it. So he comes out and he says, look, Ben doesn't throw a tantrum when I don't get the proper route depth. Ben doesn't throw a tantrum, you know, if I run the wrong route or drop a ball, which he's not perfect either.
Right.
So he went above and beyond when it came to owning this situation, which I don't want to call a mistake. It was really a personality trait or flaw that exploded. And for him, the thing that frustrated a lot of people is, like, of all people to complain, most of the time when you see wide receivers complain, it's because they're not getting the ball enough.
Right.
Nobody gets fed.
Yeah,
It's in the closed mouth don't get fed. He eats a lot. But in that situation, he thought he had a play. Ben checked it down. I think he's learned his lesson and realizes this is why when you show out, when you get wore out when you get showed out, when you show out, as we like to say going back in the day with our parents, because you get embarrassed. And I think he's genuinely embarrassed at having his character questioned publicly and nationally the way it has been this week.
Maybe he felt that he needed to do this also because he's had some other incidents. And I don't want to, make those seem like that they were, something that was so nefarious, but with the locker room incident, Facebook Live and some other little things, people have wondered, like, is this guy mature enough to handle being in the leadership position that he is? And I think he showed that.